Oh. Okay, so let's talk about Ultimate Spider-Man and why this might be dumb. So for those who don't know, Ultimate Spider-Man just relaunched within the last few months. Kind of, sort of. Okay, so backtrack. The Ultimate Universe was launched in the early 2000s as a new reader-friendly line that was meant to streamline the characters and be very accessible until it wasn't. Ultimate Spider-Man of that universe was a beloved book from the line that introduced readers to a younger, less complicated version of Peter Parker for a more modern generation. Marvel is now relaunching a new line of Ultimate books that has nothing to do with the original Ultimate Universe at all. It's just that same concept of let's make an accessible line of books with top end creative talent, and it has been, for the most part, very well received. Which brings us to the new Ultimate Spider Man. This book is literally the exact opposite of the previous one, and it introduces readers to a more mature version of Peter Parker who is married to Mary Jane. They have two kids. It's really wonderful. This book has received a lot of positive feedback, critical acclaim, sellouts, and, well, this. For the record, this is what we call the A cover, the standard cover for a book which has over a dozen variant covers. We're not going to be talking about a lot of the variants for the most part. We're going to be focusing on this bad boy right here, as it's outselling almost all of the variants, which is pretty unprecedented. So let's talk about what this book is and what it isn't. This book is a new reader friendly return to a beloved status quo of Peter Parker Spider Man and Mary Jane Watson being married. This was the long term status quo until it wasn't, and it's something that most fans have wanted back for some time. This is a good book with beautiful art by Marco Checchetto and story by Jonathan Hickman, what would be really considered an A-list creative team in the industry. It's a very fun read that sets up the new status quo for Spider-Man of this universe, mixing in some new elements along with some familiar ones. I'm not going to spoil this book, and because honestly, there are so many other places that will do that for you. And truth be told, if you like Spider-Man, you should probably give this a read. Now for what this book isn't. This is not the first appearance of the new Ultimate Peter Parker. He debuts in Ultimate Invasion 1. Don't even get me started on cameo appearance versus first full appearance. I don't want to hear it. This book is also not scarce. It is not rare, not even close. If I had to guess, I'd say there are at least over 80,000 copies of this book. Most are already in the hands of collectors who will keep them pristine or slabbed in a CGC. That's a certified great company case. There are a ton of eBay listings with even more sold already. People already guaranteeing or selling this book in a 9.8 CGC, which is about the highest grade you can get for a comic. So really, why is the base cover for this book driving the price so high? Honestly, I think there are a few reasons for this. I do think there is a legitimate demand for this book. As I mentioned before, this is a married, if not more mature, Peter Parker, which is a status quo people really wanted to see return. Peter MJ is the relationship in the games, is the relationship in the movies. If you ever watch Across the Spider Verse, they have a kid together. It's what people know about Spider Man. Second, as well, the book did its job. So I talked to a couple local shop owners, my local one in particular, and he said he had a lot of younger readers, late teens to early 20s, calling in trying to get a copy of this book. There were new customers interested in reading about this Spider Man, even ordering copies of Ultimate Invasion to learn more about this new universe. So you had your existing comic base plus new customers coming in to probably jack up the price a bit. Okay, so we established there's a real organic demand for this comic, but why the A cover? For those, so like the A cover is like the default cover, the one that there really should be the most amount of copies of. Why is this one writing so high compared to the many, many, many covers that are out there? And there, I think, lies the answer. There are too many variant covers. All these books are technically issue one of Ultimate Spider-Man. They have the same story, same pages. In most cases, in modern comics, the variant usually wins out for value because it's the artificially scarce version of the comic. And when I say artificially scarce, I mean that it was made to be more scarce. In most cases, they'll do what's called like a 1 in 10 variant, where you order 10 copies of one cover to get one copy of another cover. This is not the case. I mean, they offered a 1 in 10 variant, but they also offered a bunch of different variant covers for this with Spider-Man in all of his kind of different costumes. And I think when you flood the market with so many variants for this book, it creates a sort of knockoff effect on the other covers starting to feel inauthentic. With so many covers, which is the true cover of Ultimate Spider-Man? Which is the book people want for their collection? And there I think lies the defaulting to cover A. The one with the spider suit your average fan will instantly recognize. So it's a mass-produced, non-variant cover worth the $80 this book seems to be pushing right now. Is it dumb to spend that much money on a book that isn't really that scarce, just in demand for the moment? I personally think so. I wouldn't touch this book right now. I'd probably see if the hype dies down and the prices drop. I think the real value of this book should probably be around 25 to 40 bucks. Honestly, if there wasn't a crease in the back cover of my copy, I'd probably be selling to this market right now. Simply put, there are just too many copies of this book out there in existence. I think there are a lot of people speculating on this book, which is weird because this is a derivative character and not a brand new creation. This isn't like, when they made Miles Morales Spider-Man, who was Ultimate Spider-Man, but a totally new character. This is just a new Peter. There are a ton of Peters. Go read Spider-Verse by Dan Slott. But here's where I'm kind of willing to admit that I could be wrong. As I mentioned before, this is not the first Ultimate Spider-Man. The original Ultimate Spider-Man was an absolutely beloved take on the character by Brian Michael Bendis and Mark Bagley. It has an over 100 issue run. It was an entry point for many into the world of Spider-Man and even got its own video game. It's everything this new version of Ultimate Spider-Man wants to be in terms of success and longevity. I remember the original Ultimate Spider-Man #1 being around a $100 book at times, especially when the series was still running and even a few years after. While it remains a really beloved comics run, it doesn't have anywhere near the cultural standing or relevance in comics that it once had. So I was curious to see what a copy of Ultimate Spider-Man 1 from the year 2000 went for, and well, it's kind of the same price. Truthfully, time will tell if this book keeps its value or if it'll come back down to earth a bit, but honestly, don't let that keep you from enjoying this story. The trade should be out soon. I think at the time I'm recording this, we're about 4 issues deep. And as you can see, there are plenty of copies of this book. So get a second printing, get a fifth printing, get a sixth printing, get a less expensive variant of a first printing. Read and enjoy it. After all, that's what they were made for. Until next time, true believers, stay in continuity.